would note that we're here for a very obvious reason. The door was open, and now we're dealing with that. And the door shouldn't have been open. I'm reminded. But in this instance, I'm going to be very open and honest about why I'm going to vote for this resolution. That's why. Again, recognizing the statements that the representative has made, I find to be highly problematic, extremely concerning, raising very serious questions from a foreign affairs perspective, as the ranking member has raised about statements made and how he feels about people being uncertain.
Chip Roy opened his remarks with unmistakable conviction, declaring that Congress was gathered for a very obvious reason. According to him, the door had been opened, a door that never should have been, and now lawmakers had no choice but to confront what had been set in motion. His tone was sharp, unapologetic, and direct as he laid out why he would cast his vote in favor of the resolution. Every word carried weight, echoing through the chamber and igniting a wave of applause from Republicans who saw his stance as a stand for principle and accountability. Democrats, however, were quick to push back, accusing Roy of fanning partisan flames and turning a procedural moment into a political spectacle. The tension was palpable, the energy electric, a snapshot of Washington's deep divisions on full display. Before we break down the details of Roy's argument and what this vote really means for both parties moving forward, make sure to click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss moments like this from the front lines of American politics.
I remember being part of all those conversations, the Senate lawyer, the Judiciary Committee. Bill first decided not to deploy the nuclear option. In 2013, Harry Reid did deploy the nuclear option. 2017, then certain things changed at the United States Supreme Court. So now we live in that world. It is what it is. Now here we sit. The door was open. I just went back and reread my speech on the floor because the gentleman, I hadn't done that yet. I went back and reread my speech on the floor. I stand by every word of that speech. And in it, I referenced the fact that I had just a few months prior had been in agreement with some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle with respect to January 6th, which there's disagreements on our side of the aisle on some of that with respect to the votes at the time. And that I'd taken very strong disagreement and sought apology from our colleague on our side of the aisle about some of the remarks that were said, but felt that this was not the right path to go down. I stand by that. So here we sit. I could associate myself and do with all the remarks the gentleman from South Carolina. I have very strong disagreement with a lot of the statements that Representative Omar has made. We've covered most of them. That some people did something is the one that really sticks in my craw pretty strongly. Raises a whole lot of flags for me. I think there are a significant amount of justifications to raise issues with respect to service on the Foreign Affairs Committee, but I would not go down this road. But I'm also reminded, August of 1993, Juan Gonzalez was a batter for the Texas Rangers and was plunked by Alex Fernandez from the White Sox. And a little bit later, Robin Ventura came to the plate for the White Sox, and Nolan Ryan was on the mound. And Robin knew what was about to happen. Nolan plunked him. And then Robin Ventura charged the mound, and then Nolan Ryan beat the crud out of him on the mound. That's what happened. We all know that's what happened. Old school baseball. Nolan Ryan defined old school baseball. This is raw politics. That's what this is. When the door's opened, then there's a question, and you have to decide what you're going to do. We're not going to unilaterally disarm. Just not going to do it. I'm tired of that. It just is what it is. Guys took a shot at someone on our team, about statements I disagreed with, and took very much to task. But I've got strong disagreements with Representative Omar. I would prefer, if it were just starting from scratch, I would not choose this path. I'd just say whatever stuff you all want to say. We'll say whatever stuff we want to say. Our managers will pick our team. Let's go battle it out in committee. That's what I would say. I would say that's the right place to be. But at this point in time, it is my considered judgment that like Nolan Ryan, we've got to respond. And I'm just going to be blunt and honest about it. That's just my belief. I think it's important. And I hope we'll get through this. We'll kind of hip check each other. Maybe we can sit down and figure out by the end of this Congress, next Congress, whoever's in charge, we figure out how we're going to play ball going forward and set those rules. And I would say the same thing about open rules, closed rules, structured rules. The ranking member can scoff. We've had X number of votes. We'll have continued debate about this stuff over time. There will be closed rules. There will be structured rules. There will be open rules. I'd like to have that debate. I'd like to have the considered judgment of the ranking member on that, and I have debate on my side of the aisle. I'm just saying that we can figure out how to protect this institution and try to decide how to do things the right way.
Chip Roy's speech in the House chamber wasn't just another political moment. It was a full-throated defense of principle, precedent, and the integrity of the institution. He began by saying they were there for a very obvious reason. A door had been opened, one that should never have been, and now Congress had to deal with the consequences. He reminded everyone that this wasn't about one lawmaker, but about the long-term health of the House of Representatives. Once you change the rules for short-term gain, Roy warned, you change the foundation of how this place works. Roy pointed directly to former Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid's decision to deploy the nuclear option, a rule change that allowed Democrats to push through nominations with a simple majority vote. That moment, Roy argued, shifted the balance of power forever. That door should never have been opened, he said. But since it was, we have to face what came through it. He framed the day's debate as one more battle in the broader war over fairness and accountability, not vengeance or payback. When it came to Representative Ilhan Omar, Roy didn't hold back. He said her past remarks, especially the infamous "some people did something" comment about the 9/11 attacks, still stick in his craw. To him, that line revealed a dangerous disregard for the gravity of terrorism and a concerning approach to foreign affairs. That's not something we can ignore, he said firmly. That's not who we should have representing this body on the Foreign Affairs Committee. To drive his message home, Roy told a story that lit up the room, the now famous 1993 moment when baseball legend Nolan Ryan hit Robin Ventura with a pitch. Ventura charged the mound, and Ryan, at 46 years old, didn't flinch. He grabbed Ventura and fought back. That, Roy said, is politics today. You get hit, you hit back. You don't retreat, and you don't apologize for defending your side. He admitted, though, that this wasn't the kind of Congress he wanted. In a perfect world, both parties would play fair, each side choosing their committee members, clashing over ideas, and letting the best arguments win. That's how this place should function, he said. But since the rules were changed years ago, Roy argued that Republicans had no choice but to act within the new reality. We can't unilaterally disarm, he said. Fairness only works if both sides respect it. Roy called for a future where Congress could reset, where fairness wasn't a talking point but a practice. He said he hoped lawmakers could one day rebuild the process, whether through open rules, structured rules, or closed ones, so that everyone knew the boundaries. But until that day comes, he said, Republicans have to defend their ground. We didn't pick this fight, he said again. But if we don't stand up now, the precedent gets worse. That, he concluded, was why he supported the resolution to remove Ilhan Omar from the Foreign Affairs Committee. It's not the decision I would have wanted to make, Roy admitted, but it's the decision these circumstances demand. He compared the moment to a test of accountability, one that would define whether Congress was willing to enforce its own standards. For Chip Roy, this wasn't just politics, it was principle. It was about standing tall when the easy choice would have been to sit down. This place only works when we remember what it stands for, he said, his voice steady. And today, that means holding the line.